This video introduces a new approach developed by the MITRE Corporation to improve governance of public institutions. It is called the MITRE PCAPS, the platform for computational analysis of public systems. While applicable to a broad range of public sector reforms, for this presentation, we'll focus our approach on judicial reforms and mapping using data pertaining to the national court system of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. Through this example, we demonstrate how computational methods can produce greater confidence in decision-making regarding judicial maps and infrastructure. There are several reasons why judicial mapping can be a particularly hard problem. First, a new map must satisfy the varied functional and societal criteria introduced by many different stakeholders. One can see the inevitable trade-offs that policymakers face when trying to satisfy all of these criteria with limited resources. It becomes a challenge for policymakers to qualify a given map as both optimal and consistent with stakeholder priorities. Second, these criteria draw upon a diverse set of factors. Adding further criteria and factors to satisfy a broader set of stakeholders increasingly complicates the development of a new judicial map. Third, the judiciary is part of a complex social system, making it difficult to anticipate how the public's perceptions and use of the courts will change as reforms are enacted over time. MITRE has created a novel technical approach for developing judicial maps by combining methods and techniques from the social sciences with those from computer science. With this approach, one can be confident in the quality of the analytics, confident in the use of large and diverse data that supports decision-making, and confident in the transparency of the underlying processes for creating and evaluating judicial maps. There are 4 stages of our innovative approach. Measurement, in which we assess the current judicial map to find opportunity for change. Formulation, in which we produce a wider range of choice for evaluation. Rationalization, in which we enable greater understanding of and transparency for potential decisions. And implementation, in which we provide for the standard expectations for high-quality policymaking and effective implementation. Measurement. It is always a challenge to relate stakeholder criteria to real-world circumstances. To bridge this gap, we first determine relevant indicators of judicial system performance and value in both court operations and the broader society. With these indicators, we can then identify the factors and corresponding data needed to conceptualize the system for assessment. To establish a baseline for mapping, we'll seek diverse data relevant to the judicial system, such as geospatial and geopolitical data, population settlements with demographic and socio-cultural details, transportation and telecommunication networks, and commercial, economic, and professional data. We'll also seek information about court facilities, including details of staffing and other key resources, caseloads, and historical performance data. We even look for sentiment data about the current opinions of the population. Then we use advanced techniques to analyze this data acquired from government, public, private, and social sources. If we're concerned about the data availability or quality, we'll use techniques to synthesize data or select acceptable proxy data. Formulation. With support from domain experts and social scientists, we use this diverse data to construct an operational model that encompasses the conditions, resources, demand, and performance of the system for judicial mapping. The MITRE PCAPS can evaluate maps against a broader set of criteria. In this example, we search through all possible judicial maps to find those that are most optimal, meaning they deliver maximum value within a given set of factors. We also want to find those that are most robust, meaning they perform well in spite of uncertainties in future conditions, decisions, and possible societal responses to change. And we want to find those that are most popular, the degree to which all stakeholders feel their criteria have been satisfied. To evaluate all the possible judicial maps, even at a rate of 1 per second, would take literally forever. However, we can accelerate this process significantly to rapidly discover the frontier of judicial maps that could be considered among the best from several points of view. Rationalization. Even with the steps we've already taken, there are numerous best maps in the frontier, each satisfying our criteria to differing degrees. So we use further techniques to narrow them down to a small set of maps, sufficiently divergent and representative of choice for policymakers to evaluate. We provide policymakers and reformers with an immersive, interactive, and intuitive experience for evaluating judicial maps, so they may explore the relationships between criteria, resource allocation, and outcomes. This flexibility makes it easier for them to create the most acceptable map for their stakeholders. Implementation. Once policymakers have selected their judicial map, we can determine a sequence of implementation actions that deliver value, control costs, and reduce risks earlier in reform efforts. Through sensitivity analysis, we can evaluate the effects of uncertainty and select the most critical aspects of system performance to instrument for monitoring. These monitoring points become the early predictors of systemic progress or failure. With predictive analytics, we can develop benchmarks so that court administrators and stakeholders can assess reforms throughout their implementation. By sustaining data collection, policymakers can apply this capability in perpetuity, repeating this analytic cycle by continually assessing the judicial map according to shifting priorities. In conclusion, we believe in this innovative approach for improving governance of public institutions. It provides for greater coherence, flexibility, balance, and rationale in decision-making, and can be tailored to the features and needs of many nations.